Hello everyone, welcome to this Let's Play of Disco Elysium. Or, let's begin, I suppose. We'll see how well I can keep up with this. I'm your host John, perhaps better known by the maybe 5 of you that care as Carl, or Stoles, or Renfro, or Haruka, and I've gone by a lot of handles over the years, so fuck it. I'm just John today. Anyway, I've been looking forward to this game for some time. A lot of really interesting buzz around it, the way it handles its story and character development. I'm a big fan of detective-y titles, and nothing lures me into the story like a good mystery. I've also been meaning to start Let's Plays of my own, and figured this is as good a place to start as any. Now, all this is pre-recorded and mostly scripted, and I'll just be talking over the video, explaining my thought process and digging into the mechanics. It seems rather unique. It's part adventure game, part RPG, centered around an amnesiac detective and a murder mystery in a strange city. The hook is that the heavy focus is on dialogue and introspection, your skills and stats informing not just actions you can take, but the thoughts you have. A core element of the game seems to be that these thoughts shape the kind of detective you are. It's apparently quite easy to end up as a tire fire of a human being. I'll be trying to avoid the worst of it, but we'll see how far that gets me. I've only played a little bit of the intro, just enough to get used to the controls and character building a bit. Most of these remarks are prepared, but there may be some meandering tangents, and some ums and ahs are bound to slip by me, so kindly bear with me. Anyway, as you can see, the skills are where the meat of your character system is. They're broken up by broad categories of strength, dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom, or this game's equivalent for those, but they diverge pretty wildly in what they let you do. And notably, there's also drawbacks if you skew too heavily into one. They start to not just give you options, but indicate your likely course of action. Authority, for instance, lets you get answers, but can make you overbearing and obnoxious. Pain Threshold lets you tank physical and emotional damage, but can make you become a weirdo thrill-seeker. At the top, they indicate the kind of builds that skill might be useful for, and you can see my stats are something of a balanced spread with a slight focus on wisdom, what the game calls psyche. Knowing that this game's reputation for turning you into a monster, I picked Volition as my signature skill, which is basically resolve and stick-to-itiveness, and judging from the intro, I'm gonna have a lot to do to claw my way back to a sane, functional human being. Should be fun.
There is nothing. Only warm primordial blackness. Your conscious ferments in it. No larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore. Ever. Never, ever. Never, ever, ever, baby. An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it. An awareness creeps up on you. A mass lies hidden in your dead angle, soaking in some lurid acidic sauce. It's bloated and shameful, a ball of meat surrounding you. This is a terrible line of questioning, and it will only lead to more awareness of the meat thing. Ex-love. Ex-tenderness. It is foolish of you to resurface to the loss. Not after all the damage you've suffered to get here. Some of it irreversible. Do you really? You wouldn't like it if I told you what was back there. Why'd you think you had to bludgeon yourself into oblivion? Or did you not sense yourself marinating? Poured so much over yourself. Got a bit carried away, did we, Chef? There's this giant ball there, in evil apes. And the evil apes are juking it out on the ball. You're one of them. It's basically all just evil apes juking it out on a giant ball. You can't even make out it's a ball when you're juking it out. It's that large, infinitesimally small.
Vying for resources is a stupid expression you picked up somewhere. The part of the presentation you want to take home with you is this. You have to beat the other evil apes in the face. Oh, yes, it is. And you drowned in that sadness a long time ago. You lost.
So yeah, welcome to Disco Elysium, and our protagonist, some guy, recovering from the mother of all benders. Now, some but not all of the text is voiced. I'll be trying to keep quiet during the talky bits. There will be some skim reading here and there, so if you need time to read the dialogue, feel free to pause. Let's just get our bearings, get dressed here. As you can see, skill checks pop up every so often. We saw that Inland Empire came up during the intro dialogue, which is kind of an abstract reasoning skill. This starting bit makes it feel more like a point-and-click adventure game as you put yourself back together and try to figure out just what the hell happened to you. Disco ass blazer. I love the text in this game. The writing is very on point. As you can see, the clothes have skill bonuses and penalties, and of course the game unfolds in multiple directions as you proceed. Gonna be real disappointed if there's no actual disco, however. And this is us about to have our mirror in the bathroom moment. Mirror in the bathroom. That was a good song. Got that fight scene from Grosse Point Blank stuck in my head. I finally saw the movie the first time a few weeks ago. It didn't really do it for me, but that was a really done fight scene. But I digress. We are about to discover something horrifying about ourselves. Inland Empire trying to warn us off. Ah, come on, let's have a look. Behold, it's a composite of every Civil War general reimagined as some kind of 70s lounge lizard. Or like Daniel Stern as some kind of 70s lounge lizard. Late stage alcoholic. Yeah, this game does not beat around the bush about what kind of a loser you are. Afraid it's meant for the ladies. Oh man. We have hit rock bottom, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you'll see these active skill checks come up often too, and we're basically playing by tabletop rules. This is me trying to determine where the expression comes from and what that says about me. Snake Eyes loses, Sixes wins, and otherwise the odds here are about 1 in 6. Obviously I fail this one, and you can always come back to white skill checks. The game app actually keeps track of them. If you do fail them, however, it seems like you usually need to improve that skill or do something else before trying again. Let's carry on. Tie is our friend. We must be reunited. We are incomplete without the tie. Now, this is interesting. Since we're still recovering from a hangover, the mere act of trying to grab a tie from a rotating ceiling fan causes us physical pain. It does heal up, as you can see. It's mostly there just to demonstrate that this is how health works. Stuff you try to do can cause damage if it fails. On my first attempt, I was able to nick it without pulling the chain first. Now, since they act like this thing is important, I have to wonder how necessary it is, and it does seem it's possible to fail both checks. Regardless, we get it this time, and our ensemble is nearly complete. Oh yeah, I've had those mornings. There's some mornings you're just not ready for the lights to be on. Every morning, really. Continuing to inspect the room, we see a hole in the window. And a closer look starts putting those cop instincts to work. Realizing the fragments went outside, I didn't just punch the thing. Someone must have thrown something, and apparently that's where my shoe went. Yeah, I'm gonna say someone else did this. These are nice shoes, why would I do that? This is bringing back memories of Dreamweb, a much older point and click, which didn't really have RPG stuff, but it did meticulously track your clothes and along with everything in your inventory. At one point you actually do get mugged for your shoes and for some reason have to put on another pair one at a time. The mugger had a laser whip and hopped in a getaway vehicle, all for like a pair of gym shoes you'd find at Foot Locker for like 40 bucks. Then you steal your friend's shoes. It's a weird fucking game. Anyway, we're out in the game world proper, so let's solve some adventures. And pick up some loose change. Look, you gotta start somewhere, right? Money in this game is called real, or real. Your guess is as good as mine. You'll notice little thought bubbles like that popping up around our protagonist, another way various thoughts intrude and offer suggestions. Some are just contextual clues as you move about, while others are reactions to what we sense. Yep, there's the shoe. See? Like I said, nice shoes. Can't start an investigation without quality footwear, especially in the space 70s or wherever the hell we are. Ah, thank you, Revachol. Revachol it is.
Hello, officer.
Ma'am. 28's a rather specific guess.
No. Because you're a police officer, sir. I am, yes. Unless you've been feeding us a set of very well-rehearsed lies all this time. You've been here for 3 days, on official police business, no less. I couldn't say. In truth, so far, mostly drinking.
Hey, drinking is police business. Oh yeah. Nothing says let's fuck like stumbling out of your bedroom covered in filth, bloodshot eyes, and grinning like a used car salesman. Now, today we're trying to be a decent human being, well aware that the road to this point in our lives was less than ideal. And you'll note that not everything she says gets a voiceover. It's a little like Baldur's Gate in that the important stuff gets audio, but everything else is just text.
Of course.
Which is fine, there's a lot of
Careful,
reading in this game.
officer. They don't like the police around here.
You saw there that authority was leaping to a couple obviously false conclusions and trying to goad me into a reaction. The point being that these random impulses will sometimes be wrong, and you have to actually read and put together in context whether you should actually do a thing or ignore them. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid being both an asshole and a sleazebag, but I do have some questions for her. Turns out she's in the neighboring room, and maybe she heard something. And she did, actually, mostly just us trashing the place, blaring disco music, and eventually some depressing orchestral thingy. Feeling a little self-conscious here, always a little awkward when both parties are aware of paper-thin walls. Yep, here we go. Here's where we fuck up the place. Clearly we're a musician on a coke binge, and we're hitting the bad part of the trip. Kind of a zen answer right there. Fortunately, we remember at least a little bit about where we are. Apparently the party capital of the world, too.
Glad to have been of assistance.
Can feel the enthusiasm in her voice. Can't really blame her, mind. I mean, look at the guy. Yeah, like I said, the game keeps track of where your standing skill checks are, so you can always come back to them, and that'll matter once we found a map. Till then, onward to annoy more people. I'm not the only one here that's seen better days. Inland Empire trying to get us to sing here. Yeah, this is basically a tabletop campaign with competing GMs, each of them trying to screw us over somehow. Oh, we'll be back for karaoke night, don't you worry. Guy doing taxidermy, you know, as one does at a cafeteria bar. Or maybe he's just trying to fix something about how it hangs. That's probably it.
Look, your buddy is over there. Why don't you go and talk to him, okay? No, I'm not the bartender. I'm the cafeteria manager.
Try not to annoy this guy too much, there'll be plenty of that going forward. This being an RPG, you're still encouraged to pick up a bit everything that's not nailed down, and this appears to be some kind of healing drug.
Hello, sweetie. You shouldn't keep your colleague waiting.
Just gonna walk right by this guy waiting for us. Come on, he'll understand, there's stuff to click on. Aha, now it's electrochemistry's turn to fuck with us. Reminding us that it's drinking o'clock on Drinking Island. Now, come on, I've hit rock bottom, true, but I'm not licking up spilled liquor when I have a job to do. Come on. I'll be back for that later. Ah, a beer tutorial. Excellent. That'll come in handy later. Trying to wake up this dude, but that's not happening. I'm guessing the pills might be of some use, but I'm not gonna steal from this guy. Not yet, at least. I mean, he might be an asshole. You never know. With that out of the way, let's meet our visitor at last. Esprit de Corps letting us know on an instinctual level that this man is our sidekick.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi, Lieutenant, Precinct 57. You must be from the 41st.
Nice to meet you, Lieutenant. This is us trying to invent a name for lack of having one. That's interesting. I failed this check on my first time and came up with something just random, forget what, but here I passed the check and it's giving me the chance to stall for time while I figure it out.
Okay then.
But I'm gonna come
Looks
clean
like
with
we
this
had
guy
a little
anyway.
scheduling error on Sunday. Saturday too, actually. Have you had time to talk to the manager here? If you don't mind, we should talk to him again. Ask him for a rundown of the area. Now that I'm here as well. I understand the scene is out back, right? It also wouldn't hurt to assure him the police are finally here. In full force, I mean. Have you mapped out the initial interviews? Okay, we'll have time for that after we take a look at the coroner's case. Have you removed the dead body from the tree? So the body is still in the tree. Where it has been hanging for 7 days straight. We should go there as soon as we are done talking to the owner.
I get the sense that Kim isn't fazed by much, and judging by what we've seen of Rivishal so far, it's not hard to imagine why. So yeah, you can see here there's a chance to play it off like you know what's going on, but I generally opt to be honest with this guy. He's going to be with us for a while. Yeah, apparently we're a member of some civilian law enforcement group, and we'll find out later on that there isn't much in the way of central authority throughout Rivishal. Yay, I got a buddy now. Come on, partner. Let's go solve crimes.
Mr. Gart, right? You run this place.
Yes.
I am Kim Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. This is an inter-district investigation, so joining me from Precinct 41...
I'm currently in between names. I'm using that sometime.
Fantastic.
You can just imagine the bone-deep weariness in everyone that has to deal with this poor bastard.
Right. Now, I know it took us a while to arrive at the scene. It also took you a while to call us and report the dead body. It was you who placed the call, yes?
No, I only just got here. It was probably Sylvie who called you. She usually works the bar here. I'm only temporarily taking over her duties.
Do you have her number?
As a matter of fact, I do.
You said you just got here. From where? Are you a local?
What? Of Martinez? No, I live in Jamrock. I only sometimes come here to keep an eye on the place.
But you still know your way around, yes? In case we need directions.
Yes, I know where some things are. But as I said, I don't live here. I just used to work here. And I'm not going to start working here again, if that's what you think.
I mean, what are you doing now?
I didn't imply that. Detective, I have everything. You?
Yes, he means do you have questions for me, like a police officer would.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to know who the murderer is, would you? I mean, you don't know until you ask. Yep, our necktie's starting to talk to us. It's a bad influence. Clearly it's a demon necktie. Or we're just that hungover. What's real? Now there's a fucking question. See, this is why you don't use generic terms for currency. You want something nobody's gonna confuse. Necktie trying to get us to do some bad things again to get out of a bill. Kim senses our financial problems and breaks the bad news for us. Now I find it funny my only options here are to either arrest the guy or pretend to not know what money is. Although judging from the dialogue, this guy might genuinely not know anymore, even though Encyclopedia just spelled it out for us. The salt off this guy is off the charts. Quick, give him some pocket change to appease him. Oh, coins aren't enough. Gonna need paper money for this. Conceptualization with some interesting perspectives on morality. I feel so bad for Kim. We just met and he clearly did not sign up for this. But this is a dilemma, since if we don't come up with 130 bucks, we're gonna get kicked out. Of course, there are other options. Now we realize we can't actually remember where we live. Oh, how can I not pick this? Fuck everything, Hobocop. Fuck it, eh? I will use my hobo powers to solve crime. Now, you see here that thoughts themselves become something you equip. Something that modifies your base statistics and informs your thought processes. The more you have them, the longer they'll become part of you, and the harder they are to do things that contradict them. I don't internalize this just yet, but we'll see exactly how the system plays out later on. Hobocop doesn't need you. Hobocop doesn't need anyone, or anything. Except booze. That's my weakness, a lack of booze. I'm Popeye without the spinach. Mark my words, there'll be a part of this game where I slam down a 40 and start doing some serious cop stuff. Alright, we're out in the world, got some serious questions to answer, exploration to do. Let's start looking around. Obviously left by the fire department.
The RCM in Martinez? What can I help you with? Of course. What can I help you with?
This poor gardener works back where the body is. We're just asking some general questions. Now, I could ask about the graffiti, but the guy inside made it clear that cops aren't liked in this part of town. And really, based on my presence, it's not hard to see why. Meanwhile, Inland Empire suggests we might need her gloves to help deal with the body. I'm not sure if that's strictly necessary. We'll see if we can do without for now. Finally making our way towards the crime scene. Sadly, we can't tell much about the tire tracks. Fortunately, logic tells us it's not terribly important. And here we are.
Kuno's got this!
Charming.
Oh yeah, never comfy, Kuno.
Let's see what's up with these punk kids poking at the body. Yeah, real charming pair of these two.
Talk, pig! She's coming up strong! Throwing rocks!
Apparently they're also jacked up on drugs.
Yeah, Kuno. Ride the lightning, Kuno.
Kuno's riding it, see?
The rake, Kuno. You should throw the rake at him, Kuno.
The fuck does Kuno know what a rake is? Kuno's not a gardener.
And really, really stupid.
The fuck are you talking about?
He's calling us f***s, Kuno. He says we're fucking each other.
The future of Revachol, everyone.
We shouldn't do anything. I don't tempt such forces. You will see.
Kim knows much of what he speaks. I hope those two go play in traffic. Now, can't tell much about the boot prints, and you'll notice we took a morale hit from that. That plays against later checks, so you do kind of have to be judicious. You're meant to fail some, if not most of these, but you need to be mindful of the risks. You lose too much, you start running into some real problems. Ugh, poor guy. Now, there's never a good time to hurl in front of a couple delinquent brats, but right now I'm really not in the mood for it, so let's look around a bit more. Nice, money. Now, mindful of the morale hit, I avoid the check this time. It's probably nothing. The game seems to throw a lot of red herrings your way and count on you to sort through them. Instead, let's check out the trash. Let's... Lieutenant, one side, please. One side. Thank you. Might be something in here worth checking. Or just garbage. Probably just garbage.
Kuno, the pig's getting pretty close to me. Come to snuff my shit out, I think. Looks like it's time for me to go, Kuno. Pig's come to take me in. I'm going away for a long, long time, Kuno.
What's going on there? Fuck are you trying to pull, pig?
Child, converse with me.
Murder was the case they gave me.
Well, so much for that. Let's see if this dingus has anything else to say.
Can't you see I'm throwing rocks? Fuck no! Kuno doesn't buy that shit! Fucking entrapment shit!
I immediately regret this course of action.
The Kuno! Show me what you got! What you got there? What you got, huh? Show me what you got!
Yeah, see, Kim gets it. Uh-huh. Charming duo. These two are gonna have kids of their own someday. That's depressing. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I hate kids. Though he does mention the ladder is dangerous for kids, so whoever got the body up there must have used a ladder or a winch or something. You'll note that Kim did take a note of that. Pretty sure that's a slur. Yeah, her. See, I like the contrast in the writing. Sometimes there's some elaborate prose, and sometimes it's just blunt and to the point. You want to vary your rhythm to keep things interesting, especially in a game that's clearly all about conversation with people, comparing statements, and conversing with your own inner demons. Yeah, okay, we're done here. See, Volition's keeping us from taking the bait. Well, that was productive. Well, let's go get the key and look at some garbage. That's a much better use of our time. Good time to level with Kim about how little we know, which is to say, we know nothing. Now, at the moment, we're still writing this off as the product of an incredible drinking binge. A guy that's apparently just had enough of being a cop and a total loser in a shitty neighborhood. But it's growing increasingly likely there's actually something wrong with us, like medically speaking. The sane part of his brain is trying to sort this out, and is clearly going to need some help doing so. In any case, not a bad idea to refresh ourselves on the details of the case. Kim's making it sound like there's some kind of internal struggle over the case, though we're not sure why yet. So yeah, we're getting into the proper mystery now. This guy was back there for a few days before someone called it in. The detail about lynching is new, and we fits the foot traffic of the scene. This might have something to do with a labor dispute between dock workers at a shipping company. The body is supposedly that of a guard for the company, but the caller was disguising their voice, so they can't be sure. Normally the Union handles cop duties around here in Martinez, except this time Union members might be the suspects, which is where the militia steps in. As you can see, we got experience for that, and not all your goals are marked. You're definitely encouraged to ask around, to learn about the world, situation, and to explore. Normally in RPGs you are rewarded for digging into dialogue trees at the earliest opportunity, but the crime scene looks to be a bit more pressing, so we'll look around a bit more first.
It felt like springtime just a few days ago.
And that's me wondering if the gardener has the key to the bins. Apparently there's no option to ask. That appears to be Kim's car. We'll be using that later to report just how badly we've been fucking this up.
Can I help you?
Hi, I need to dig through garbage. Well, this hobo needs access, my friend. It's the source of my powers. Well, besides booze. Booze and garbage. Rhetoric is picking up on something, and I'm inclined to dismiss it as nothing. If it fits the pattern of GM behavior, you should assume that every one of these skills is lying to you at some point. Kim demonstrating how authority works. On the way out, I remember that this nice lady wanted me to talk to Kim first, so with him on board, let's have a chat.
Hello again, sweetie. I see you met up with your colleague.
Yes, she likes me. The nice old lady in the wheelchair is hitting on me.
Why? You are, officer. You are a handsome man, officer, with your moustache and your chiseled jaw.
It's interesting that they tell you who these characters are before they've introduced themselves properly. The dancer down at the club, the wife of a cryptozoologist.
I'm Lena. My husband Morel and I are staying with our friend Gary just down the street, but I come here for tea when they're away.
And Esprit de Corps wants me to hire her. Is that even a thing? I don't know how she'd take how'd you like to roll with me. I feel that's the kind of line you'd use the expression with, and maybe some kind of eyebrow arches or something. But no, we're trying to be a decent person here, apart from being a homeless cop, so let's just be honest with her and we see where this goes. Specifically, she's quizzing us about where our memory fails. She seems a little taken with Revachol. Probably a long-time resident that doesn't quite appreciate how far things have fallen. Still, our answers are good enough that she gives us a pen. Hooray for us. Now here's a goddamn question. We haven't really had any indications of who's in charge of Revachol, so this is probably more a question of who we wish is in charge. I know the game uses political stances as other equipable thoughts, so I'm sure that'll come up later. But for those not stopping and reading, she's basically saying Revachol's an extreme case of Hong Kong if it were still under British control. The government is basically subdivided by local powers, as are police functions. The gaps in our memory are revealing of some serious mental problems, and Kim is quietly exasperated. Anyway, worrying won't help us in any case, but I do ask a bit more. She's got a little bit more to say. Apparently the locals had some kind of revolution about 42 years ago. More information will have to be obtained elsewhere, probably after we've dealt with a more immediate issue. Now, rather than pester this poor lady about how she ended up in a wheelchair, or, God forbid, ask her for money, let's get a little goal-oriented here. Let's get back to inspecting crime. By that, I mean dumpster diving. Inland Empire tries to warn us, but our Hobocop nature pushes back. I mean, of course we're not going to like what's in there, it's garbage. And that's the thing I like so far. You need to gauge when the game is earnestly telling you something and when it's just fucking with you. Now, so far, it looks like it hasn't been emptied before the murder, which is good. Any clues that were dumped in there should still be in there. Oh, there's only one answer to this question. By the power of Mad Dog 2020, I command thee, reveal your secrets. Game's having a bit of a laugh at our expense here. Hobocop is undeterred, and we keep digging. And our reward is a racist coffee cup. Yeah, I'm sure Kim loves this. Time to keep digging. What do we have here? Ah, the victim's clothes. Hey, look at us collecting evidence. Kim is fucking Sherlock Holmes here with his commanded details. We're gonna find out this is like Without a Clue, which is one of my favorite Holmes adaptations, where Watson is the smart one and Holmes is just an idiot actor he hired to play the part. Oh, possible shirt from the victim. And everything else is just rubbish. So someone got rid of the victim's clothes, which, to judge from the smell, was not long after he died. I'd rather not deal with those little shits again. Anything else in here? Oh, we got something. Clipboard and stuff, and... Ooh, it's ours. Score. Good question. How did this get in the trash? Surely not when I was drunk off my ass and throwing shoes through the window. No, must be my enemies. They are everywhere, and numerous, and very definitely not imaginary. So yeah, this is our police paperwork, and Kim's telling us it might be useful to figure out what we've been doing for the last couple days. And that we should start taking our own notes of what's going on now. Now, some of the stuff you find can be inspected for additional information, and we're going to do that now. First, let's take a look at that mug we picked up. And because I'm operating on adventure game logic, there must be some reason this thing is here. Surely it will tell us something useful about the crime and isn't just random trash. Yeah, see, the game doesn't have much patience for this behavior, and this is probably where you can spiral out of control into a huge racist or like a seething anti-capitalist or something. There's no real option to say I'm metagaming because I can't admit being a hobo doesn't give you investigative superpowers. Fuck you, game. You don't know me. I'll show you. I'll show you all. Anyway, this ledger is obviously much more important. We can take a closer look at its various components. First, let's get that toilet paper off there. We might live in filth, but we certainly don't work there. Kim's telling us this thing is marked like our jacket, so all militia vehicles can reveal the data on the markings in the headlights. Now, evidently, we were fairly productive before we came Hobocop, with quite a few cases on the docket just for this year. And since it's only March, that's a couple cases a week. The naming convention is simple, but indicative of what we're dealing with. And apparently that's common with the RCM. The man with the hole in his head. You know, this lines up with my understanding of police work. All the cops I've ever talked to, when they talk about crime scenes and stuff, they tend to fall into a kind of gallows humor to cope with it. And, you know, really, if you're dealing with dead bodies and accidents and such, you kind of need a defense mechanism against the mental damage that involves. Which, really, is apropos considering the kind of game we're playing. Anyway, now that we got our mighty clipboard back, let's start taking our own notes, thanks to the pen we got from the nice wheelchair lady. And all this isn't just for flavor text, as you'll see in a moment. Yeah, there we go. This actually restores our morale because it's a psychologically pleasing task, creating a to-do list and then crossing off items. It feels like we're making progress, even if we haven't done much. Oh, we gotta pick this for the crime name, come on. Come on, Kim, where's your sense of fun? You know, that's gonna be a foreshadowing bit. This case is definitely gonna involve Furies at home in the mirror. Which Furies? I don't know. Maybe the baseball Furies from the Warriors. That'd be fun, actually. Anyway, fuck yeah, we level up. So it sounds like, in spite of looking like the worst cop in the world and not doing much to dissuade that impression, we were actually fairly busy. It may well be part of how we got here, a strong case of burnout. Other than the case files, we've got forms, which are by far the most useful thing in a cop's inventory. It's like in Hot Fuzz, how the main character is such a badass just by getting his pen out. In fact, it's so badass it actually heals us. Shame we're not actually hurt. Inland Empire is warning us about something in the clipboard, God only knows what. And in fact, there seems to be a hidden compartment somewhere inside. We'll leave that there for the time being. Suddenly, our hero has a flash of insight. Hey, we have initials now. HDB. Our name is Hadib. Yeah, none of those sound good. I'm going with Hadib. Yeah, nothing in our mind wants to take a stab at this one. We'll deal with the case files later. That sounds a little bit more involved. We're coming up on the end of the video, so just a few more thoughts here. Obviously, all the depth in the game is internal, and it's about how you choose to develop your character and how that lets you approach puzzles and conversations. And historically, the issue with dialogue in games is there's nothing really stopping you from being a sociopath and just spamming your bullshit artist skills until victory. This looks quite a bit more involved and sets things up to trip you up, forcing you to actually read and pay attention to what people say. Even just reviewing the video afterward, I'm picking up details that I overlooked the first time around, which I think is the sign of a solid mystery. Stuff that makes more sense in hindsight as pieces start clicking together.
Can I help you?
Just turning the key back in, trying to be a moral Hobocop. I realize it's not the most exciting game to show off, but I'm honestly really enjoying this. It looks like there's a compelling set of mysteries at the core: who you are, what's with this crime, why did you do this to yourself, what's happening in the broader world, and any number of ways this can spiral out. Our old friend Garte seems to have an axe to grind with the dock workers union, who own one of the booths here. Presumably, someone who frequents the place would know more about these guys, and considering the union is at odds with the company that employed the dead man, it'd be worth the time to question them about it. They won't be in until later, of course. Now, Kim mentions they're on strike, which is another complicating detail. There's clearly some kind of labor dispute afoot, but we don't know where the murder factors into all this. So yeah, let's wrap this up. That's the first hour or so of Disco Elysium. I might do a proper Let's Play of this. I'll see how the next hour plays and how frequently I can keep this updated. I definitely want to get back to this game and find out more about what's going on. But we'll see. Regardless, thank you all for tuning in. I'll holler if and when the next one goes live. Until then, see you next time.